Welcome to the Financial Technology Report, a leading information source on financial technology companies and solutions. In this episode, we speak with Sam Barnett, CEO of Covr Financial Technologies, an insurtech company that provides a digital insurance platform through financial institutions and other national partners. Covr's embedded technology helps financial advisors and their clients research and purchase life insurance from top-rated carriers through a streamlined digital process. Sam was appointed CEO in January 2026 after more than 2 decades in insurance distribution and growth leadership. His background includes senior roles at Lincoln Financial and Global Atlantic KKR. And most recently, he served as CEO of Vibe Insurance. I'm your host, RJ Lumba. We hope you enjoy the show. If you like the episode, click to follow. Sam, thanks so much for taking the time. Great to be with you.
Absolutely, RJ. I've been looking forward to this.
I thought a good place to start is the merger because it seems like it was a transformative point in Covr's company life cycle. Can you tell us about the kind of strategic nature or Re's rationale for the merger with Optifino?
Absolutely. And it's actually coming together of 3 companies, which makes it a little more interesting of a journey. So I'll give you that journey. So Covr Technologies is now owned by Optifino, who purchased Covr, even though we're operating under Covr. And during that process, I had a company called Vibe Insurance Services, and Vibe also got pulled into that. So it's 3 companies coming together under the Covr banner. And so this was all just happening within the last 60 days. It's hot off the press news here. Mm-hmm. But if you want, I can give you kind of a background as to why we saw the opportunity and why all 3 came together.
That'd be great.
So it's been quite the interesting journey. So Covr Technology has been around a while, and I've known of them just being out in the industry. And, very successful track record, doing some very innovative technology and distribution, kind of uniting together in financial institutions primarily, but also in the independent channel. And so Covr has, I think, 30,000 financial advisors that use their technology platform in major institutions. And so that's a very important platform with a long history and some real important clients. Optifino, I got to know out in the industry as well. And Optifino was building what I think was world-class AI tools, a digital BGA. And it was designed originally to be a little more towards the independent channels or for IMO distributors to use. But as an outsider looking in, I was very impressed with the AI and the tools, and we can talk about that some more in a minute. Mm-hmm. But that was a unique piece of the puzzle. I actually came from Vibe Insurance Services, which is really a 2-headed company. One is a consulting firm, and one is a distribution company that was built for general agents. So the purpose was to go out there for general agents that don't have scale and to bring them things like technology and contracts and marketing support and just every area that we could give them scale. That's what our job was to do. I got introduced to the other 2 companies, Covr and Optifino, as a consultant. And so I was hired in the 4th quarter of last year and was brought in during the integration, and my partner, Bob Klein, as well. And our mission was to help them figure out what should their strategy be going forward. They've got some great pieces of the puzzle. And so how do you best align it? How do you look forward? How do you really maximize the value of the 2 firms? And so did that in good faith as a consultant. And as we were going through it, I saw a lot of really amazing opportunity. And I think just my partner and I interacting with board members and shareholders and employees, I think they saw that we saw the vision where this could go and what it could do. So long story short, I came over as CEO of the combined companies and my partner, Bob Klein, as Chief Distribution Officer. And so it's been quite the ride, as it might sound there, because this was not in the plans even in the 4th quarter of last year. It just all kind of came together.
And currently, Covr, it seems like, has this platform that could be white labeled where it enables it to reach or enables maybe other financial advisors out there to reach more consumers. And then you're layering in newer technology, the AI technology from Optifino. Is the end result here kind of just enabling folks out there in the insurance industry to better reach more customers?
Absolutely. I think what I saw as probably the biggest opportunity was, there's 30,000 advisors that have access to the Covr platform, and many of them are large financial institutions, household names. That platform is embedded in their CRM, and it is private labeled for the name of their firm. And so if you're in one of these firms, you go to your own portal for life insurance and you see calculators on there. How much life insurance do you need? You see marketing collateral on there. All the suitability is on there. And then you can request a quote and pull it up in real time, and you can submit it in real time. And there's a unique process, but it's all built into how each of those institutions does business. And so we digitized the suitability, which used to be a major slowdown. So you would have to, before you could submit something, it would have to go through review by the firm. And then the firm would do their review, and then they would send it back, and then you could submit the case. We made that a digital process. And so it could take the suitability and instantly pop it through to their department, which could pop it right back to release the case and just create a better experience. And I think a lot of it is just more transparency for those advisors. Before that, they really didn't have any of those tools. They would have to go to an outside source and request a quote.
Mm-hmm.
They would get a quote and not sure what to do with that. Like, why is it this quote? Why is it this company? Well, when they have all those tools right in front of them, they can self-serve. But we also set it up so they can phone a friend, because we know a lot of those advisors aren't experts in insurance, nor do they want to be. So we have a hybrid team, sales team that is ready, and will call them instantly and help them through the process if they want, can actually meet with them and the client and can facilitate the whole thing. But what we found, the usage jumped through the roof. So once people felt like they were enabled with the right tools, it didn't become so scary. It wasn't like, oh, this life insurance thing is so different than everything else I do. It was, okay, that's not too bad. I can just request a quote, and I can do some self-study on how much should my client need, what type of insurance. And so it just changed the experience, and we've seen the results of that for our firms.
And where does Optifino's AI get layered into it? At what part of that process?
Was really eye-opening to me. And again, this was a big part of why I saw the opportunity. So if you think of 30,000 advisors who have had a dramatically improved experience already, now you integrate the Optifino AI tools, and it takes it to a whole new level. And so, for example, there's an AI bot, and you might not even know how to request the quote or what you should even request. The bot, you can simply say, I have a client that is concerned about protecting their income for the next 15 years until they retire, and the calculator said they need 5 million, or their attorney said they need 5 million. The bot will just walk them through. Here's the difference between term sales, a permanent product. Would you like to see both? Would you like to see one? Sounds like term is the one for me. Great. It runs it in real time, and then throws it in a real transparent way so they can be looking at it in real time, not like a traditional spreadsheet. It actually shows graphs. And you can filter it by premium or by things like convertibility, or you can ask it like, what are the important questions I should ask? And it can tell you, well, do they want it to be convertible or not? So that process is being built all the way through. So you can request up front, ask information. How much does my client need? What are some general rules? I need a quote. To, this looks really good. Can I submit this business? And then it would send the link, and suitability would get started right there. So it's almost like having an internal wholesaler, which is how the industry would traditionally do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right there in real time when that advisor wants to engage. They can always hit the phone a friend and talk to a person, but it takes all the guesswork out of it. And so we'll keep adding to that. AI is moving so fast, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of crazy how fast we're moving, but we're going to keep adding tools to it, sales calculators, AUM risk protection filters to analyze their books to see where is the risk of AUM leaving. We know why. It's for long-term care. They're going to lose assets under management for certain demographics because of long-term care needs. They're going to lose certain assets under management at the first death of a wealthy family, and up to 90%, at the second death of a wealthy family. And so our tools will help them analyze that if you're a financial advisor, to say, where is my risk and what should I be talking to my clients about? And then make that process easy. So when you think, again, I saw it kind of as a Trojan horse, having that Covr platform already in front of so many powerful advisors to now bring this next level of tools to really help them give a better experience to their clients.
And is this cover offering more like pure play software and AI, where it's like a charge per seat for each financial advisor that's using the tool? Or is there some element of like commission?
That's a great conversation. So if you look historically, Covr had, I called it a single engine. They had a single engine where it was, we're going to bring our platform in and our profitability, and we're going to monetize it based on overrides. So we're going to get a certain override for all business that is done. There's nothing at all wrong with that. It works very well, but we're now operating it as a dual engine. And what I mean by that is we can say, we can provide all these tools for you, and you can pick whatever distributor you want, or you could be the distributor. You could facilitate it all the way through if you want your own agency. And then we're going to charge SaaS fees or some type of fee based on the usage. And it really depends on the firm and the setup, whether it's per person or it's just a platform fee. Or we can come at them with our distribution company and do both and say, we'll fulfill the entire line here. There's a lot of advantages for us when we do both because we can seamlessly hand off the business, and we've built frictionless processes internally. And so while others might get the case handed to them, now they're going to have to go do it kind of in an old-fashioned way. When it comes to us, it's a seamless way, and we've built it in our system, so we're a lot more efficient with it. But we really want to be neutral when we engage with financial institutions to say, we can operate as a dual engine, or you could take the technology by itself. We just want to partner with you. So that's how we're viewing it.
Can you give us a sense for maybe the volume you expect to do on an annual basis?
Yeah, so we're still getting through kind of the final numbers of integration, but let me focus on Covr. So one of our top firms, for example, we put the platform in, and I think year one, there were 4,000 illustrations run off the platform. And now 2.5 years later, there were 95,000 quotes run on it. And what's so impressive to me, again, this is a major firm. Sometimes I don't like us to use their name or else we have to get it through compliance, but trust me, you would know the firm. But 32% of their financial advisors engaged the platform last year. And if you go back and look at historically the penetration rate of life insurance with financial advisors, it's somewhere between 7 to 15%. And that swing is widely because it's, what does that mean? Is it they wrote a case in the last 10 years, or is it every year they write a case? Point is, it's a small percentage of financial advisors write life insurance on a regular basis. So to get 32% engaged, that tells you they're very interested. Then, just this one firm, we placed 9,000 cases, which was up pretty dramatically as well. And we're seeing the same thing across the board in our other firms too. So quite a bit of usage. I think it's going to skyrocket as soon as our integration is done with the AI tools, because it's a different experience. It's what people want. And it's what we're all used to now, is running to AI for some type of assistance. That's just the way the world's working these days. So I think that's going to dramatically increase.
Sometimes when firms come together, this is a three-way merger, there's financial backing. I understand maybe Covr has financial backers as well as Optifino. Was that already all in place and in the background, or did it kind of happen simultaneously with the merger?
So Optifino was well funded, and so Optifino had a good game plan, and they were in a really good place. At the same time, they were working with Covr, and Covr had investors too that were excited about the future. And so those two kind of came together, looked at the combined models, and brought the capital that was needed to bear. So that's how that played out.
Excellent. Switching gears a little bit, would like to learn about you. Where did you grow up, and how'd you get your start in the industry?
Yeah, so I was born in Little Rock, Arkansas, raised there. Spent most of my professional career in Memphis, and where I raised my family. Been in the life insurance business really my entire career since the early 90s, and was a career agent out there knocking on doors as a 20-year-old and getting told no every single time, probably for good reasons, by the way. But hey, you learn a lot when you're told no. Then I became a point of sale in financial institutions at Lincoln. So I was at Lincoln for 17 years, started out as a point of sale life wholesaler, and at the time, Smith Barney. Worked my way through. After 17 years, I was head of life sales there and left to go to Global Atlantic. Global Atlantic had just bought Aviva's life block of business. And so the legal name became Accordia Life. So I was brought over by Global to help build out the life business. Had a great journey there. KKR acquired Global Atlantic, which was a really good thing for all of us. And during that process, I was head of life and annuity sales when I left, and had a glorious short-term retirement, moved to Florida like everyone does when they retire. But after a short while, I just missed the game. I was still on the phone all the time, still calling all my industry friends, still trying to keep up with what's going on. So that's when I started the consulting firm
Hmm.
and Vibe. And then friends of mine that owned small agencies called and said, "Hey, do you think you could help us with some scale?" So that's when I started the distribution company. I said, okay, we could get a dozen of you together, and then we could get some really good technology tools, build you good portals, and it makes sense. And so that's kind of how my career progressed. I was in the life insurance business. I was never the plan. It just ended up that way. But, 30-year run, and it's been a great run. So, love the industry for sure.
There's a lot of companies in the insurtech space, and they play different roles. And I'm wondering, with the particular role that Covr is playing, do you find it to be competitive? Are there other solutions out there that you continuously bump up against?
The landscape is changing so fast. We're all competitors now. And so when I had my consulting hat on, I had a lot of insurtech firms that would come to me. And typically what they were looking for is, okay, how do we monetize this? Like, can you figure out how do we price it? Who should pay for it? Does the agent pay? Does the agency pay? Does the carrier pay? Does the consumer pay? Like, how do we monetize it? But I have something really, really cool. They all start out in their own niches. And so they see, like, I want an underwriting niche. I'm going to focus on that. Or sales tools. I'm going to focus on that. What happens is they start seeing the competition out there, and they all start saying, okay, well, maybe I should add illustration to my underwriting niche. Well, okay, maybe I should start adding, this to it. So all these platforms are kind of coming together the way I see it out there. And so people that started out one niche, they're now branching out. And, technology has enabled that. The industry is kind of demanding that. What I found about Covr, again, what is unique to embed into a large firm CRM system is not easy. That is not a 6-month project. That is not a year project. That is a very significant spend and investment of time. And Covr already has that. And so for me, as we're growing, expanding into all these different areas ourselves, that's what anchors it. It's taking care of the clients that we have and taking advantage of being anchored in 30,000 advisors. So I see it as we're kind of the gatekeeper of access and experience with those advisors. And so as new tools come along, they can bolt onto our platform and we can get them access into a lot of these places.
We're coming up on time. I have two final questions. One is, can you tell us about a person who's had a profound influence on you?
I lived in Memphis a long time, so Elvis is one that would be hard for me not to throw out there. I mean, come on, that's low-hanging fruit. But from a business perspective, actually, our chief distribution officer, Bob Klein, is someone that's had a huge impact. When I was at Lincoln, he built out MoneyGuard from nothing to $1 billion business. He's the one that hired me into the industry. He's the one that told me I wasn't a salesperson, I was a manager, and I fought him like crazy. Like, no, I'm a sales guy. Sales guys are cool. Managers are nerds. Turned out I was a nerd. He saw it early on, but he's just been a good mentor. We've worked together for a long time and just someone I have a lot of respect for.
Last question. Can you tell us about a charity, cause, or other endeavor that you're passionate about?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I think probably number one is St. Jude Children's Hospital. Coming from Memphis, that's a natural thing. St. Jude is everywhere, and you hear the stories and you see the families, and it's incredible what that does for people all over the world. I don't think people realize like the global impact it has. And then secondarily, my daughter, who's now very healthy, when she was young, she had a situation that required real expertise. And we were in Memphis, so we got to see it firsthand. You're scared to death as a parent. You have no idea what's going on. You're just panicked. And St. Jude really flipped the entire model on its head. Like you're used to going to an emergency room or a hospital and you fill out all this paperwork and you don't know what's going on. You're scared. It's not a good experience, a lot of waiting. St. Jude was the opposite. They greet you with an ambassador. So you walk up and they're great to see you. And you let us tell you what we're going to do today. We're going to go in this room and we're going to explain what's going on today. How does that sound? And it's done where they have video games and they've got snacks and they've got people walking around with balloons and it just relaxes you. And then each step of the way, they would advise you. I'll give you a little example. Even like for a kid, giving blood is a scary thing. And so they needed to draw blood to run some tests. And so you go into the nurse, she explains, let me tell you what we're going to do. We've got several choices here. You get to pick which way you want. We could prick your finger, or we could do it this way or do it that way. I think most people like it if we numb your finger and prick it. Do you want to do that? And it kind of felt like there were choices, especially for someone so young. And then they give you a tour around the place, let you play with games, and you immediately, as soon as they get the results, they bring you back. You're talking to a doctor. And he started out with, everything's going to be fine, but we need to go through this process. And I'm like, that was so game changing. Normally you would go in, wait forever. You don't hear anything for days. You're terrified. And then you come back in and wait another 3 hours, and then you hear the results. This was just one continuous thing. So they impressed me with my own kid. But again, just seeing the stories and from all over the world, I think that's just an amazing organization.
Wonderful. We'll include a link to St. Jude's when we post this.
That'd be great.
Sam, want to thank you again for taking the time. It's been a great conversation.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, and wishing you the best.